Hello, hello, hello. What ho! Welcome back to another exciting adventure of Radio Free Anarchy. I'm your host, Travel Mateus. This is Mustachioed Reactions. We are reacting to the new Matrix movie. Good luck, have fun, don't die. NPCs, signals, and the people who know they are playing. Welcome back. Last episode, I proposed that Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is not really a time travel movie. I suggested it is better understood as a metaphor for your existence through iterative expressions of your experience. Your life is a loop. Your life is a system. Your life is a game that resets at death. When you die, you will re enter and respawn within your own timeline again. But I want to go deeper into one of the stranger aspects of the movie. Again, spoiler alert, you have to have watched this movie. Otherwise, it might not make sense to what I'm going to say. And the movie does this very subtly, very subtle. Not through exposition, not through direct explanation, right? That's what a metaphor is. That's what the mythos is. The myth is a creative expression of how to communicate truth. A myth communicates truth. It doesn't myth communicate truth. It it's a myth that's trying to communicate truth through tiny fractures in the illusion, right? That's how the light escapes. You have to have cracks within the system. Like that's how Truman wakes up. There are cracks within the system. Like he says, that's weird. That's kind of like, why does that happen? And then he starts to wake up. The man from the future and the NPC problem. At first glance, the man from the future appears simply to be assembling a resistance team, right? The rebellion against the empire. The deeper you look into the movie, the stranger it becomes because most of the characters don't feel like agents. They feel reactive. They respond. They follow. They participate. In fact, one of them takes the initiative and says, "We're not going to be able to da da da." So look, and then that person takes the initiative, and it's a new person that comes into the group of resistance. And then there are others who are completely unaware. All I wanted was a piece of pie. So this led me to this interpretation. What if most of the people in the movie are functioning like NPCs? They have nothing to contribute truly, really. But within the system, the NPCs have the ability to start to put pieces together. But you just don't know which ones are going to be doing it. You have to, yeah. What if most people in life are NPCs? Not in a dismissive way. It's not an insult, but it's just structure. You come across a 7-year-old and you try to communicate meaning, being, and existence to a 7-year-old. It's not going to be the same if you're trying to explain it to a 75-year-old, unless, of course, the 75-year-old is frozen in time mentally, emotionally, and intellectually back as a 7-year-old. NPCs operate inside predefined behavioral boundaries. In the movie itself, it's the system that builds the NPCs. But in your life, you have an insurmountable, innumerable amount of NPCs out there that you are going to come into contact with, and their operating system is their whole nature nurture experience. How they've been programmed. Like when you come into that existence of like trying to occupy the same space at the same time with another car, you're merging into traffic, right? You cannot do that, right? So then you have to adjust. One of you is going to have to speed up. One of you guys have to signal to the lane and open the lane up. So whether or not this person has enough patience and this person has enough patience, that's their own operating system at that time. You don't know everything that person has been through in the mission they're on. They are on a mission right now, which is their life. And you are going to present them with challenges of, I need to be patient right now. This person, how's this person going to come into traffic? Like, and it's all about adjustments. But not too many people handle those changes well, and they lose their minds in traffic, or they lose their minds in a board meeting, or they lose their minds in a marriage, or they lose their minds on the baseball field. In the movie, the only one with full awareness is the man from the future, because the man from the future is an actual player in the game, right? So this is a significant spoiler. The anonymous email. Did you get that line in the movie? There's a moment where the man from the future asks Susan, "Did you get an anonymous email too?" And the movie just goes on from there, just like it's a throwaway comment, but it's not. Nothing is explained, but that line matters because suddenly the man from the future is not the only one receiving signals. Someone or something is injecting information into the system, which means the environment is not fully closed. There are inputs coming from somewhere beyond the visible structure, and that changes everything because everything changes. There's another line that's significant where an NPC character says, "I'm not getting paid enough for this." This is the scene where they are going to enter the house where the 9-year-old is building God in his basement, and he has parents who are making dinner. The mother says to the man from the future, "I'm not getting paid enough for this." That's a character break. That's a fourth wall break. It's not dialogue. It's someone stepping back outside of the role they were playing. It's like, "Yep, I'm out, tapping out. Like, I don't want you to shoot me the way you just shot this guy." So that line breaks character. That line is a fourth wall break, which sounds less like dialogue and more like someone stepping outside of the role they are playing. So the mother all of a sudden says, I am not willing to play this part anymore and I'm going to step out of. She becomes aware. She's a performer. She has a role and there's compensation, but it's not enough for this. So now the movie introduces layered awareness. Some characters are asleep, some are partially aware, some are mission driven, and somewhere beyond all of them are the signals themselves that each of those, the signals are there for everyone, and yet you have different iterations of awareness. Noise and signal. Signal is for those who are aware, noise is just. Which brings us to what I think the real theme of the movie is. Noise and signal. How do you distinguish between random events? Fate, Neo. I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life. There is no such thing as fate, Neo. You are the only one in control of your life. So if your life feels out of control, check yourself before you wreck yourself. How do you distinguish between glitches in the matrix, coincidences, synchronicities, actual communication, meaningful patterns? The movie repeatedly introduces anomalies without resolving them because that's the way life presents itself. Like, where is this going to go? What is this going to lead to? And that matters. The audience is left in the same position as the characters, trying to determine what is meaningful, trying to determine what matters, trying to decide whether something is merely noise or a signal. So the movie is not about saving the world in a literal sense. It's about navigating a layered system of operation where most people operate unconsciously. Some begin to notice anomalies, and a few begin acting intentionally. The question is not simply whether the world can be saved. The question is, can a participant within the system begin to recognize that there is a system? And if so, what changes once they do? Next episode, I want to talk about memory, repetition, loops, and why awakening in this film may not mean escaping the game at all. Actually, it might mean learning how to play the game. Good luck, have fun, don't die is a movie about memory. So let us remember the difference between noise and signal so that you can determine whether you stay trapped inside the loop or begin to understand the game you are actually playing. I have been your host, Travel Mateus. Until next time. Hello, hello, hello. What ho? Welcome back to another exciting adventure of Radio Free Anarchy. I'm your host, Travel Mateus. This is Mustachioed Reactions, reacting to and exposing the curtain pull on Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. This is the movie that never ends. This is the game that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friends. Somebody started it a long time ago, and when it's going to stop, we don't know. Row, row, row your boat gently down the dream. Merrily, 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 life is but a stream. Welcome back. I want to talk about the single most important idea in Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. The game is not built to end. The game is not built to end. And that's never stated in the movie directly. But once you see it, the entire movie reorganizes around it. There's an adaptive environment. Life adapts. The construct adapts. Most stories operate inside fixed worlds. You learn the rules, you solve the problem, you reach the ending, but this movie introduces something different. AI changes the conditions. The environment adapts. The closer the player gets to resolution, the more the system recalibrates, which means the goal itself is unstable. And that creates a profound psychological effect where the player feels as if the resolution is right, and then it's not. The resolution, I thought we were closer to the, it wasn't this, why is it still so far away? Haven't, think about what this means existentially. Human beings often live exactly this way. We think, once I achieve this, once I solve this, things are going to gel, things are going to stabilize, things are going to equal out. But it never does. Reality always adapts. New problems emerge. Remember, problems are not problems. They are potential solutions. Everything is a potential solution for you to solve. There are no problems. There are only situations that appear to you to be problems, but you know how to solve problems. So they are not problems. Reject these problems. Reject these challenges as problems. Solve them. The movie subliminally asks this question: what if your life was never intended to end? What if when you die, at whatever point you die, that is your respawn? And that's just the way it is. Like you have no, like you can't cry about it. I don't like that system. I don't like the people who say I don't like the system don't understand the system. Because the system that I've created for my own philosophical, spiritual expression, I am absolutely in love with the worldview that I've constructed for myself. Because I see my entire life as a mission. I'm on the mission right now. I'm sharing the mission with you in this iteration of my existence on Radio Free Anarchy. I've been your host, Travel Mateus. I'm a character actor. This is my role. What if the game of your life is never ending? And you have to realize that that's the way. I would never live this life again. Yeah, you would if you understood how to play it. The reason why you don't want to do this life over again, the reason why my grandmother said, well, who would want to live forever? This life is so hard, is because she's not learning from her life. People who overcome obstacles are gods. What if the movie of your life was never supposed to end? What if the purpose of your life is to refine through engagement? So, the War Games problem. Matthew Broderick, War Games. Shall we play a game? There's a famous line in. There's an infamous line. Infamous? Infamous? The line from War Games, which is significant, is the only way to win is not to play. But I think this movie, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, rejects that idea entirely. Because in this system, not playing changes nothing. Not playing simply leaves you unconscious inside the system, inside the loop, inside the game. You remain reactive, you remain unaware. Something happens to you, you react. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. Like, learn to like it, because here it comes again. Learn to like it. The only meaningful transformation comes through your participation. Jump in the water of life and learn how to swim in a class 4 uh, river. Play. Good luck. Have fun. Don't die. Perhaps transcendence in this movie does not come from escape. Perhaps transcendence comes from competence, learning, recognizing, adjusting, but not exiting, understanding it. And this might just be one of the hidden messages of the movie. I mean, it's in there, they talk about it, but you have to think about the meaning. The loop remains, the loop remains, the loop remains, but new players come in and everything changes. Good luck, have fun, don't die is not a story about how to prevent an apocalypse of the entire world. It's how to prevent the apocalypse in your own life. I have been your host, Travel Mateus, on this new and exciting adventure of mustachioed reactions on Radio Free Anarchy. Until next time.